Come on. Well, it's good morning and good afternoon, really, and we're not coming from the studios in Brisbane, Australia. We're actually coming live from an island called Milos in the Greek Islands. And so without further ado, I'll bring on Andrena to continue with the show. So you'll probably see the blue sky. You'll see people walking past after the ferries bring people in from the different remote islands of Greece. But no, we're here for Matt, so let's get on with it.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Good morning, everybody. Good day, and welcome to Dreaming the New Dream, wherever you are in the world. 4th of September, would you believe? And today it's my great pleasure to have Matt Bell on the show. So welcome, Matt. It's lovely to see you. So thank you for agreeing to be our guest today.
Oh, you're welcome. It's an absolute joy.
No, and I'm really looking forward to this because you've got so much to share. Because like you're a time traveler, you're an artist, you're a psychic consultant. What do you call yourself? An experiencer. Oh gosh, so much more. And you connect with the ETs or the star beings and the UFOs and all of this sort of thing, which a lot of us love. So, and I know you've got lots of messages to share today, which they want to pass on to us lot that are here, that are ready and waiting to learn the next step. So without further ado, I know that you, because I met up with you last month and we had a good old chinwag, and you started about the young age of 6 or 7 when you started to have unusual life experiences. So would you like to share how it all started and some of the steps that have brought you to where you are now and the messages that you want to share?
Yeah, sure. Well, I've had a really kind of varied life and very rich in kind of experiences. Not all good. And from about sort of 6, 7, I was going around London with my granny, who was selling bandages to churches and pubs. And so I'd get to go to a service on, say, Saturday or Sunday. And one of these times I'm kind of looking around at the church. I think it was Westminster Cathedral. And I was looking over at these kind of stone plaques on the wall. And they were kind of like biblical scenes. And I just kind of looked over and saw the heads moving and the mouths moving. And I was thinking, that's a bit odd because that's stone and that should be kind of solid. And so after the service, I kind of told my granny, I said, why are those heads moving and the mouths talking? I couldn't hear any words from them. It was just like a scene of moving figures, just the head and the mouth. And my granny kind of like went, oh, he's got the gift, you know, and kind of, I didn't really kind of want that sort of granniness at the time. So I kind of shut down and kind of didn't really know what she was talking about and didn't really know what I was experiencing. You know, she was saying I've got the gift, you know, and I've got second sight and all this sort of stuff. And I didn't know what that was. And to me, it was like granny being overly...
Granny.
Yeah, overly granny. So, but that sort of went by the by. But a few years later, I kept on getting kind of weird experiences. So I'd get like a laser light shine in front of me, and there would be no particular way that someone could shine it. I'd see where they would have shone it, sort of thing. And then, kind of about sort of in my sort of late teens. I had an experience. I was on my way to see a friend, and it was nighttime, and I was running to catch the last train, sort of thing. And as I sort of rounded the corner, there was this tree on fire, and I was thinking, oh, there's a tree on fire. Oh my goodness, you know, I've got to ring the fire brigade or something. which was next to a school. Anyway, the flame, just before I did that, the flame came out of the tree and floated in the air. And I was thinking, well, flames don't really do that. Why is it hanging around in the air, floating, this flame? And then it sort of shape-shifted. It literally turned into a cylinder, like a geometric shaped cylinder, but it was still on fire. And I just thought, is this me, or am I imagining this, or is this an actual thing, real thing? And so I wasn't scared as well, which was quite interesting. So I was just sort of curiously looking at it, and it was sort of floating about 20 feet above me. And then I felt this wave basically go over my mind, over my brain. And sort of I didn't realize what that was until later on. Anyway, as I was sort of wondering what this thing was, I said, I see you. And it kind of went behind a chimney stack. And I kind of played hide and seek with it, because I sort of walked around and kind of looked up at the chimney and said, yeah, I know you're still there. And then it sort of zipped off into nothing, So that was my kind of one of my first sort of experiences, just this flame that was that I interacted with. And as it went, it said, God's light shines eternally within. And I was thinking, wow, that's a really cool message. I don't know really what that means. Anyway, later on, I kind of started having more experiences with things like white orbs flying through my forehead and going out the back and not feeling anything, and seeing various sort of craft in the sky. But one time I kind of I was looking out in the garden and I waved at a star, and the star kind of waved back, and I thought, wow, that's weird. I'll try it on another star. So I tried it on another star, and that waved back. And so I was thinking, either this has got to be me, my kind of imagination or something, or it's an actual real thing that's happening. So I thought, well, I'll try it on a few friends. So I invited them around, and we did the same thing. I went through the steps that I'd kind of developed. There were like 5 steps, and my friends started going, it's waving at me. It's what? And they're kind of like gasping. So that's when I knew it was an actual real phenomenon, rather than just kind of me in my own imagination sort of thing. Once I started connecting with the stars, they would bob up and down, or they'd wave side to side, or they'd go in like a figure of 8, or they'd do a sort of tight circle. And I thought this was pretty amazing, because I could literally look at a star for about sort of 10-20 seconds, keep my focus on it, and then for some reason it would connect with me. It would sort of blink and then slightly drift up, and then it would start bobbing around and waving and interacting with me. And I could do that with pretty much any stars that are around. So I was thinking, how come these stars, which are supposed to be millions of light years away, can see me and interact with me, within sort of 20-30 seconds. And basically I realized that all the stars are conscious beings, but not necessarily in the way that we think they are. They're conscious beings either in their own biological craft, if you like, called a Merkaba, or they are beings, literal physical beings in craft that use consciousness technology. So hence the fact that they can pick up on a beam of consciousness that is looking at them and then interact with them. So when you kind of realize that actually most of the stars that we're seeing are craft parked in orbit, like a marina has yachts, and they're parked in certain constellation formations representing the actual ones behind them. So you kind of realize that actually there's life out there. When I started interacting and doing it with groups of people, we'd be getting what you would normally think as a shooting star, but they were like a mile long and sort of green plasma and different colors. And Star Family basically want to interact with us, on the humans on the ground, who are awake or open-minded to the possibility that they exist. And those people who are open-minded and kind of not cynical, those are more receptive to receiving information from their own star family, because all of life is basically seeded on Earth. So I'll paint a scenario. If you can imagine an island popping up, a volcanic island popping up from the ocean, it's never sterile. You know, there's always bacteria on it from the minute it pops above the ocean surface. Birds visit it, you know, insects on logs, all sorts of life propagates, seeds land on the island. So an island is never sterile. From the minute it pops above the ocean, it's being colonized by life. And it's pretty much the same for Earth. You know, we are floating in a vast ocean, which is ether, which is what you'd call outer space. Ether is a form of various frequencies. It's all the frequencies and all the scalar waves. And ether has been kind of buried and hidden and ignored and told that it doesn't. Science says it doesn't exist, but it's been proven by the delayed photon experiment, by the double slit experiment, by ancient esoteric knowledge. This is what Star Family are bringing through. So returning to this island in the sea, in the ocean, Earth is no different. We've been visited since the Earth was born from the sun. So we've always had ETs visiting, extraterrestrials, good and bad, since you know, as soon as they could land on Earth, pretty much. And so what people don't realize is that most of the population are under a thing called perception management. And you think, well, how can a whole what planet's population be completely hypnotized and conditioned to think that they're alone in this universe and that they're the only intelligent life form? Well, from birth you get vaccinated, you get jabbed, you get poisonous processed food, you get indoctrination through your society, through your parents, you know, generation on generation of lies, basically. And you're brought up to believe in a false state of reality, a very limiting kind of form of reality. And it's called perception management. And we're all conditioned from birth, especially in the Western civilizations, societies, to have that limited perception of the world and of us. But what you realize is actually, if you do the work and you learn to discern from the truth, from fiction, and you have experiences like me where you're meeting literally extraterrestrials in the flesh, in the physical, on board craft or on the ground, and you're having conversations with them, you realize that, you know, the universe, reality is a much bigger thing and much more amazing and beautiful as well. So yeah, so going back to my experiences, when I was sort of I can't, several times, but one time I got a message in my mind saying we're on our way, and I didn't know what that was, and I kind of stirred and I kind of looked out the window, and there's this white orb basically in the garden, and I think they said we're here, and that's when I saw the orb. And so I went downstairs, and there's this sort of chap standing in front of the orb, and it was literally floating about sort of, I don't know, 10 centimeters, no, yeah, that much off the ground. And this chap said, do you want to come on board? And I wasn't scared. I felt the love. It's a difficult one. The guy looked very surly and kind of moody, but I didn't feel any bad vibes, sort of thing. So I walked into the orb, and literally the earth dropped away. It kind of went, and there's no movement. You don't feel any turbulence or vibration or anything. It's just like you're standing still. And then I kind of looked up, and then we came into this large mothership, and there's like a sort of central atrium. You can see all the way up to the top. And there was balconies, and I got a kind of scan and a couple of questions, and then got escorted to a meeting, which is just like a kind of auditorium, a lecture room, and there was a holographic display, and there was loads of different ETs all sitting around, you know, listening to whoever was talking in the central podium sort of thing.
Wow.
I know, and I was literally pinching my arm all the way, saying, you know, this is a brilliant dream. This is great. And then when I came back down and kind of went back to bed and woke up, I had a bruise on my arm. I was literally where I'd been pinching myself. So so I know it was real as well, because I've had continual contact, you know, intermittently since, and been asked aboard craft again, sort of thing. So yeah, Star Family are basically saying planet Earth has been colonized since Dot. We've had interstellar civilization. We've got 3 times the amount of population inside the Earth than there is on the surface. We've got an ocean 3 times as large as the one on the surface in the Earth. We've got various colonies of ETs around the planet. What they do want us to know is that we're all seeded here, so humanity is out there. There are ETs that are human, you know, Lyrians. They're from the Lyra constellation. All humans come from the Lyra constellation near the star Vega. And about 1 million years ago, there was a great expansion when the Draconian Empire invaded, and all the Lyrians, all the humans, kind of spread out. We came to the Milky Way. Other Lyrians went to the Pleiades system, and Aldebaran and various places like that. So we have humans that are extraterrestrials. You wouldn't know any different. They could walk past you in a pair of jeans and have a conversation with you, and you wouldn't know. So that kind of puts an extra variable in the mix. You know, most people think ETs are green greys, or they're kind of, you know, demonic looking, and there are ones that are really horrible and very nasty looking, but they're actually benevolent as well. So, you know, they can't help their genetics. That's just the way that they are. But there's all sorts of shapes and sizes, and looks aren't necessarily of what their character is. A lot of people say to me, you know, are there good and bad aliens? And I said, yeah, there are. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but there are also good and bad humans, you know.
Well, yeah.
So it's not any different, really. You do get the same species, but you get one that's, you know, loving and kind, and then you'll get a corrupted version that's kind of evil and nasty. So we do have that with all species, not just humans. Fortunately, we've got 80% roughly that are benevolent, that are good guys, that are highly spiritual, highly advanced. You know, they've had technology to get to Earth a million years ago. So they brought all that technology with them. And when you kind of see it from that ET perspective, everything kind of makes more sense, because these ancient monuments with these kind of big polygonal blocks and stuff, people are still trying to work out how they were built. Well, they were built by Star Family, who had 0-point technology that could be drawn from the ether, and they had, you know, knowledge of how to control magnetic fields. So what they would do is they would induce stone matrix, and it would warm up and turn into a liquid stone, and basically they would pour that and set that, and that's how the polygonal blocks were created. If you look at them, none of them have got like a vein through them, like a natural geology that's just been pulled out, solid block. They're all igneous rock. They've all been heated up, and or they're composite rocks, which can be set over time, such as the ones of the Pyramid of Giza. Star Family is saying basically all the pyramids around the world, there are star forts and cities underneath, because the pyramids are like power plants, effectively. They're energy generation power plants for star bases and ET cities underneath them. So wherever you see a pyramid, there's pretty much likely to be some more development underneath them. In Egypt, for example, there's a great big city under the Giza Plateau, and it's got 3 layers, 3 levels, and that's going to be interesting when people, if they get down there. Unfortunately, the authorities are preventing all that exploration, but it's going to come out. There's the same. There's a chamber under Stonehenge. There's a massive development under Angkor Wat, and all these monuments are related. They're all interrelated because. So bringing it back again to say 12,500 years ago, we had a planet called Tiamat, which was a watery planet between Mars and Jupiter. That got destroyed by the Galactic Federation, thinking that there was a reptilian base there, but it was a holographic one. And so they shot a weapon into the planet, created a cascade effect. Because it was a watery planet, all the water slew off, went into various orbits and got sucked into Earth's orbit and Venus's orbit. And that's when we got the Younger Dryas period. Everyone's talking about comets. There were comets, because there was dust and rocks as well with Tiamat. And so that's the Younger Dryas period, 12,500 years ago, when the oceans rose about 5,000 meters or something ridiculous, and swallowed up Lemuria and Atlantis, which were global colonies. Atlantis, Machu Picchu is an Atlantean colony. And the difference between the 2 colonies was that the Atlantis colony had the reptilian hybrid humans, and the Lemurian colony had the original Adama human, Lyrian humans that weren't hybridized or didn't have reptilian consciousness. So there was 2 kind of main civilizations about 13,000 years ago. They got swallowed up, and then we had to. That was kind of like a reset. A star family came back. Some of them never left. They were like the ant people were in the interior of the Earth, and the Agarthans and stuff. Anyway, the planet, they built the free energy grid, which was the pyramids, and that was about 12,500, 12,400 years ago. And that was done by an ET called Thoth, with an interstellar group of star family, various different races. So the Djoser pyramid is dedicated to an extraterrestrial, which is a species called an Afim, which is a grey-looking being. But there's 150 different types of greys, so not all of them are negative. Some are neutral, and some are benevolent and positive. So these pyramids were built around the world 12,500 years ago. They're aligned to each other. They're technically, if you want to know what they do, they're ionic depolarizers. So they bring in the ions of the ionosphere through scalar waves, through piezoelectric charge, and then they basically convert that into current, AC/DC current. A guy called Professor John Searle and his Searle solution, he did a similar thing with his invention. So these pyramids, some of them are still working, like the Bosnian pyramid. Some of them are still active, and some of them have yet to be discovered as well. There's pyramids that have been here for a very, very long time, and there's lots of stuff to discover underneath them, which is part of what I'm talking about, because as we're moving forward into the future, we are, this year alone, we've got a thing called the Boogosphere, which was found, which was a drone basically by the Orion Greys surveilling Earth, and it hit a high power line, and a chap picked it up, and that's gained a lot of interest in Mexico. And it's like a sphere, a chrome sphere, and ETs use these drones. The Pleiadians, all sorts of different races use drones for surveillance, and this is one of them. And it's very interesting because it can change its density. And so if you type in, say, if you want to look at it, it's called the Boogosphere, B-U-G-A. But not only that, in New Mexico, in Hidalgo province, in Tula, they're digging up ET graves, ET necropolis that's buried under all that volcanic ash. So we're finding caskets of small caskets of ETs, sarcophagi, small pyramids with inscriptions and pictures on them of ET craft, of different ET beings at the time. And what's quite interesting about these artifacts that are being discovered is that you're seeing that various symbols are already established. So like the Ankh, the obelisk, the Eye of Horus, various kind of what you would consider Egyptian iconography or symbology is actually much older. It's from Orion, it's from off-world. And so we are kind of humans adopted that because Egypt became the major civilization about 3,360 years ago. And so they had all that influence from ETs from off-world from 12,500 years ago. So so that's the current situation. You know, basically Earth has been occupied by aggressors. Unfortunately, it's been infiltrated, and humans are being hybridized. And the Anunnaki had to leave 17,000 years ago because they couldn't handle it, and they asked another group to come in called the Callistos, which are human-looking ETs from Jupiter, and they've been helping to protect Earth ever since, really, and they've done a pretty good job because otherwise we wouldn't be here. So they sort of because they've been around so long, they're in our myth and in our history. And some of them will know that, particularly the four brothers that came to Earth in the biblical sense or the archangel sense, but they are still here, and they're reincarnated, and they haven't left. So so you get to realize things like the Bible story is a complete mind control trick that was developed by the Vatican and the Fabian Society through the regressive ETs connections through the secret societies. So we're currently facing a reset where they're trying to depopulate the planet using their hybrids in places of office throughout all strata of society, from the secret societies through government, deep state government, then through councils, and then through the organizations and institutes like the NHS. So this is all part of a kind of much deeper agenda that's not human, but it's failing. That's the thing, it's failing because actually what's happening now is because the population is being put under duress, and because their hand is being forced, most people are being pushed to the light from seeing that darkness. And what we're going through now is what's known as kind of the Ascension process, which is basically bringing up all these dark narratives that have been hidden for centuries, for thousands of years, that have gone to sort of control humanity. It's sort of secretly behind the wings. All that stuff's up for review now. It's all coming to the surface because literally the consciousness, the collective consciousness of humans, and the consciousness of star family, benevolent star family, and the consciousness of the planet are all rising to a higher vibrational frequency state. And things of lower frequency or fake things cannot survive that vibration. So they're being kind of like rising to the surface, like heavy stuff does, in a jar. If you shake it, it rises to the surface. And that's up for review, and that's coming up in us as well, individually, our life circumstances. And we have to look at our shadows and our triggers and the things that cause conflict in us, or suffering, or trauma. And part of that is, the clearing process. You don't want to hang around with toxic people or narcissists anymore. You want to hang around with nice people who are nice and care about you and don't put you down.
Totally.
And people are going through that quarantine process. They're literally saying, I don't want to hang out with these people because they're not fulfilling me or uplifting me or supporting me. They're just being critical and putting me down. So a lot of people are changing their relationships. They're realizing that they're in kind of relationships that they thought were great, but they've kind of woken up and realized, and you know, oh, I really don't want to be in this situation. So there's lots of timelines sort of diverging. There's lots of timelines merging. There's lots of energetics that are swirling around at the moment, because depending on what level of consciousness you're at will depend on how you see reality. You know, there are still people who think there's no war going on, that the government cares for them, and that their healthcare system wants them to get well. So, but then again, there are people who are kind of fully awake. They've gone through the system. They've realised that they're trying to be, you know, they're trying to be harmed, and you know, all sorts of horrendous things like that. And they're like, well, actually, I want to choose a different way. I want a holistic society. I want a new earth. And I'm kind of dealing with people like that in these holistic communities that are choosing to an alternate way to the government slavery system. So that's kind of what we're talking about. The new earth is being born as we speak, because lots of people are going to these holistic communities. For instance, positive living communities.org is good, or People's Health Alliance are really good. These are various kind of alternate breakaway societies, if you like, or kind of holistic unity, heart-based consciousness communities that are gathering as a result of being, you know, leaving the current slavery system. So we're seeing that shift now. We're seeing the crumbling and the kind of trying to implement the digital slavery system, but we're also seeing people bringing all that sort of stuff, like gunk, up in themselves and clearing that out, but also realizing on the kind of greater scheme of things that, you know, their governments have flipped against the populations, and it's all about cataloging and controlling now. So, but that needs, you know, people to feed the system. That needs people to loosh their attention and focus and beliefs. And the trouble with that is that people's beliefs are changing. They're, through their life experiences, they're seeing, you know, that's not true. You know, that's supposed to be like that. But actually, through my life experience, I realized that it's completely different, and that's not true. So a lot of people, through their experiences, realize that, you know, there's cracks in the system, or they start seeing the flaws or the inconsistencies. And that's when you start going on that truth hunt, because you're like, wow, that's a massive lie. I've been lied to. What more have I been lied to? And then you go on that sort of down those rabbit holes.
And more is being revealed, isn't it? The more people are questioning it. I mean, it's a fantastic time now, more than ever, that people are looking at their triggers that come up straight away. You know, thinking, oh, you know, right, okay, why has he rattled me? What's going on? And dealing with it and moving on. And more, like you say, people have such an awareness of communities. They're all linking together. People are not going to put up for any more of these lies that they're, you know, we're being fed all the time. But, you know, it's just coming to the light now more and more. And it's great because we know more and more is going to be uncovered, and it's going to shake people up. A lot of people aren't ready to hear what's going to be revealed, but a lot of us are, and we're sort of in the wings to be able to help those that need our services, eh?
Absolutely. When you kind of tie up how why are these systems so nefarious? Why are the authorities trying to kind of put, you know, on the population and control them? You realize that it's a non-human agenda. You know, these regressive beings are in the wings that you'll never see, because they're directing it to their minions who work in the secret societies, and through into the governments and stuff like that. So when you make that connection, you realize that, you know, that actually you don't have to comply with that. You don't have to be coerced. You can choose a different way. You can choose to be, you know, conscious. This is what Star Family are teaching. It's called consciousness technology. And they're saying basically us humans are the highest technology on the planet. But we have been convinced that we're like this black and white projector. And then therefore we project this black and white reality for ourselves. but actually we're full color spectrum projectors, believing that we're black and white ones. And so when you help people make the mindset shift into becoming self-aware, then they start seeing that they are that colorful projector, that they only believed that they were this black and white limited projector. But so you help people to find their authentic selves. Kind of trying, let's rewind it a bit. In the law, in courts, in Western societies, you're considered lost cargo at sea, a dead entity, and they use your straw man to that corporate fiction to attach to you, and you being convinced and indoctrinated and stuff. You believe that you're that identity, but that's just a way of them harvesting your life force and stuff like that. So basically, we're considered lost souls at sea, dead cargo, which to a certain extent is true, because we're all indoctrinated from birth and conditioned, and we believe in a very kind of limited reality, and that's not that's a hypnotism. We're living under psychosis. We believe that our ego, our personality is us, and we're this individual kind of thing. We are individuals. We've got an individual consciousness, an individual interface, but it's an individualized consciousness of that's pooling from the whole of all consciousnesses. So that's a bit more complicated, but essentially Star Family are saying, if you can help people shift and become self-aware, then people start seeing true reality, and start manifesting that true reality for themselves. Because actually, through physics, you realize, through, say, the observation principle, the observer principle, or the double slit experiment, you realize that nothing is unaffected by the observation of it. So you're intrinsically linked on the quantum level to everything else, and by observing it, you change it, but also by observing it, it changes you. And so that shows that we create our reality, our subjective reality, based on our consciousness, on the thoughts, on the frequencies that we're streaming through our vessels. Most people live in duality. They live in this binary world, this binary mindset that says something is either good or bad, yes, no, right, wrong, evil and benevolent sort of thing. There's these two choices, and that's designed on purpose, because it's also to keep you locked into what I call no time. We talk about time. Time doesn't exist really, and neither does space. There's no distance and there's no time. But it's really hard to explain. Star Family explain it like this. Our brains think in sequences. So we naturally think in a kind of linear way, one thing thought after another. So that's why we think time is the way it is, with all the clocks and stuff like that, linear time. But actually time exists, all time exists all at once. So past, present and future all exist all at once within you now, within you right here now. So an example of that is basically the past doesn't exist, it's happened, it's gone. That's no time. You can't get that back that way. The future hasn't happened yet, so that's no time. And what the trick is, they tell you that the now is this constant fleeting second, and you've gone past it. It's always constantly going past through you, and you can never be in that now second unless you're aware of it as it's passing through you. But that's a lie as well, because actually all time is in the now present. For example, if you're stuck in the past or anxiety about the future, you're storing that in your mind now. You're not. It's all in the current now moment. So it's helping to bring people to the present, because they've been taught that time, the now, is this fleeting second, but actually the now is this eternal moment that's constantly changing. It's a different way of looking at time. So when you realize that people only think in this kind of past or future, never the now, because it's this fleeting thing, because you're told about time is this linear thing. You can realize that that's a trick, because it's the way to keep people locked in no time, locked in regret in the past, or locked in anxiety in the future, but they haven't happened, they don't exist. And so you're never present now, you're never aware of yourself now in the present. And it's helping to bring back that awareness, conscious awareness of yourself now in real time, so that you can start shaping that reality, that future, you know, because all of life exists now in this constant unfolding now. And being present and aware of that, you can start to shape it and be more discerning. You can, you know, if someone's trying to scam you, you can see it coming. You're like, no, thank you, not today. And various things like that, about being present and aware in the now moment. So yeah, so what they say, Star Family, is that because people are in that binary mentality, they'll see something as either black or white. They'll have something described to them, and they'll see it in those two ways. You know, it's either good or it's either bad. But actually, it's the person that's assigning that value to that other person or that other object. And actually, every object, every person has a good aspect to them and a bad aspect to them. We have the dark and light within us, each one of us. But same for situations, same for systems. They will have a positive aspect and they'll have a negative aspect to them. And depending on the observer, you'll see. But it'd be good if you can see both, because then you're in that middle space between them. And that's what Star Family are trying to help people understand. If you can see the opposites to things that you believe in, if you can counter think, you know, say if you walk down the street and you think, oh, that person's got a bad taste in clothing, be cognizant of that negative thought that you put out, and then say, well, actually they carry it very well, and they're very nice. I'm sure they're a wonderful person. You then put in a positive counter thought. Totally. And then that cancels out that negative frequency that you're bringing into your vessel, and that negative filter that you're filtering and projecting onto other people. So helping people become present and aware helps them gain more control of their life. They become aware of those energy attachments. They become aware of those entanglements and the things that are causing them trauma, and they literally cut them free and release them. And then they choose to have a much more loving kind of relationships and more caring friends and more kind of moral and ethical kind of ways of living. So that's the sort of consciousness shift that the population is going through at the moment, in varying degrees, because we're all at different levels of consciousness. So I'm helping and Star Family are bringing that data to us on the surface, and I'm putting it all on the website as a repository of knowledge. And it's really exciting, actually, because there's going to be lots more artifacts coming up, dug up out of the ground. There's going to be actual craft that have been buried that are going to be discovered. There's actually going to be ET bodies that are going to be discovered as well. But not only that, all the sort of symbology and the writing and inscriptions and hieroglyphs, the proto-Egyptian, the pre-Egyptian hieroglyphs, they're all going to be translated. And so we're going to be finding out about the Orion Greys, our past history, you know, the last sort of 9,000–10,000 years. These artifacts are coming out. And you know, you're seeing the Mayans with the Anunnaki, with the Greys, all pals, all having a good old time. You're seeing artifacts such as kind of like chessboards and party games that are coming out, because these are all sort of objects that were put in the graves with these dead ETs that were buried. So we're getting a great we're getting more knowledge now about our past, about the interstellar nature of our past, 9,000 to 10,000 years ago, well, 12,000 years ago, we're also getting kind of more knowledge about where they came from, because they literally drew it on their artifacts. You know, there's star maps, there's hieroglyphs, there's saucers, there's tractor beams, there's depictions of different planets and all sorts. So what's fascinating is that all these artifacts are going to kind of re-educate us as to our past on Earth. And also another thing they say is that we are eternal beings, so we reincarnate. So we're a sort of a species that have got amnesia, because this is a low frequency 3D realm that's being induced by the moon. We don't remember those past lives. The Callistos, they remember them at 13, their past lives. But we kind of Lyrian humans have been so conditioned and so programmed with a limited perception of reality in the lower frequencies, that those finer ones aren't carried through at birth, and so we don't remember our past lives. But we're all eternal beings that keep on reincarnating. So that's you know, what they want us to know. And they want us to know that they, you know, the more we become harmonious within, i.e. not triggered by others externally, not in conflict, more consciously aware of ourselves and our thoughts, our deeds, our words and actions, but by being present, the more that creates a global harmony. So the same formula for inner peace is the same formula for world peace. It's about harmonics. If you can see things from both sides, you're seeing it from the center, and you're no longer being kind of drawn to both sides. So one of the ways that you can start seeing things from that central position is to see it from both sides. So a lot of people, because they believe black or white, you know, they're easily fooled. The ones who think that they couldn't be fooled first were the ones that were fooled first, because their ego and their arrogance has blocked them learning that they've been fooled, sort of thing. That's part of the hypnotism. So when you get someone who disagrees with what you're saying, they're shutting themselves down to that opportunity of learning the opposite. It's this kind of way. If you're on a train track and you've only got two choices at each junction, you know, one of those, if you listen to the wrong person, you're pulled into their narrative. If you're believing the liar, for example, say you've got a person speaking the truth and a person telling a lie, you've only got two choices. You know, which one do you believe is telling you the truth? Say you've believed in the one that's telling you the lie, you're trapped already, and they could lead you a merry dance and tell you a whole sort of false narrative. And effectively, that's what the news is, mainstream news is. It's made people believe a completely false, limiting reality. And that's on purpose, because if you're binary, your reactions can be predicted. Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, we must spend money to fight that war abroad, you know. Oh, that politician. Oh, isn't he amazing? Isn't he wonderful? I'm going to vote for them.
Which one's that?
Well, I haven't found one of those yet.
Sorry. Yeah.
So politics, you know, it sounds like, yeah. Anyway, doesn't matter. So yeah, it's basically politics is an illusion as well. The game of politics is up now. You know, it's all been rigged. They're all puppets to corporations, and they've all sold us out. So you know, that's why people are finding holistic society is a lot better, because there's no leader leading them a merry dance. It's everyone around the fire sharing the warmth, sort of thing, and everyone deciding their fate individually, kind of thing. So the more we can bring people to be individual critical thinkers rather than the hive mind groupthink, you know, the binary right or wrong, predictable algorithm responses, you know, the more you're in tune with your natural, organic, divine, sovereign self, because you're not this binary robot that's just reacting in a predicted way to the media narratives that have fed you. You know, you're in touch with your light, your soul, and your heart. You're coming out of your mind energy, the critical, analytical, and you're going into the heart energy, and looking at things from love, and rather than having a consciousness, rather than kind of where the problem is in someone, why they're different. It's actually the opposite. It's we're looking at what unites us. We've all got more that unites us than divides us, actually. You know? So this sort of consciousness technology is being brought through by Star Family, and it's a joy whenever I go on board and go to meetings and stuff. You know, I can't take a pad and pen up there, so I have to kind of remember it all and desperately sort of write it down the minute I get back, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's very exciting because all this revealing of our past, revealing of the occupation, revealing of the structures of control, you know, it's all up for review and clearing out. And collectively, as we all realize this, our collective consciousness, as well as various, shall we say, helpful, benevolent beings, will remove this control system from the planet. And when you travel ahead in the future, it's lovely because there's, you know, floating cities off the coasts, and there's lots more green lands because the people don't use roads so much now. Then rather in the future, that hasn't arrived yet, kind of thing. So yeah, it's just that we've got that, we're on the abundance timeline, but we've got to go through this wobble, October, November, and September possibly, to then come out the other side. And 2026 is going to be even more kind of interesting, but it has to happen to create that chaos, to then for order to come out of that, because basically nature cycles in chaos then order, chaos then order. So yeah, so that's what's to come.
Wonderful, can't wait. This is what we're, like we say, we're all in training for, we're all waiting for, you know, the bigger picture of what's to come, and clearing the debris that's around us. So how often do you go up to the ships then? Do you just suddenly, like in the middle of the day or the night, does it happen daytime or nighttime, and do you suddenly feel a sense, or you know, you get a call in to say it's time to come up again?
Yeah, it's mostly during the night, and the last time it was March. I went up, and it's literally a call in your mind, the consciousness technology through telepathy, and then you just go downstairs and go out into the garden and jump into an orb, and then zip up. It takes
just
about,
like that.
and it sounds so blasé me saying it like that, but that's just how it is. It's like it's not, you know, when you get familiar with Star Family, it's not a scary prospect.
No.
What's lovely about doing the connection protocol is that when people connect with their Star Family, when they connect with their stars and stuff, they feel the love from Star Family. It's like literally a warm kind of liquid feeling around your heart, but that's light coming in, that's frequencies coming in. Some of those frequencies are clearing out discordant ones in you. Some of those frequencies are data packets, so you'll get information about, say, you know, what you're thinking about or what your passions are, because they want to help us individually on a one-to-one basis from within, because the prime directive is being upheld by the cabal. All the benevolent ones can't really kind of land and go, hey, here we are, let's kind of sort out the bad guys and get you guys free, which would be lovely, but unfortunately, you know, they get shot down by the military and they get, you know, messed around with. So a lot of benevolent Star Family kind of keep themselves to themselves, and don't really interact with the cabal. They don't want anything to do with nefarious ETs, or let alone humans. So you've got these various colonies around the planet that just keep themselves to themselves. You've got greys that are gardeners that, you know, maintaining kind of ecosystems and stuff. They don't really want anything to do with any other Star Family or humans. So yeah, that's the, you know, current situation on Earth. Basically, we're going through that consciousness shift, but we're also getting a lot of revealing of our past, and we're also kind of kicking out the bad guys.
Mm.
Mhm.
And yeah. Anyway, have you ever taken anybody with you in the orb? Have they ever said? So is it
No.
purely for yourself? Because obviously, I couldn't imagine for two of you going up in the orb, and you know, I suppose
It's one of the questions
own...
that get asked first. You know, can I come with you?
Yeah. You've done the whole
No, it's
group.
always just me. There's been a couple of times where kind of before I got to the main craft, you meet up with another craft and you go into that, and there's a few people in that. But yeah, it's usually me on my own. It's like a shuttle thing, or it's there's that kind of Rasta chap that's standing out there looking rather moody. He's like a human but with a really long face, so there's a non-human element to him, and he's a good laugh. What you find actually when you get up there is because they are so kind of spiritually advanced and intelligent, they're very playful. They want to have a laugh with you and joke with you, and you kind of don't expect that Star Family would be jokers, that they'd be playful and they'd have a good sense of humor. But they're one of the funniest kind of intelligences I know. Their humor's brilliant. So
we could do with some of that down here with all the bloody carry-ins on that have been going on, couldn't we?
Absolutely.
We can really do some mega fun down here at the moment.
Yeah, a lot of people take themselves way too seriously. All of life is temporary. You might as well have a good laugh and not take yourself too seriously, and then you're not blocking yourself from, and you're not putting your reality as a serious thing that has it's your outlook on the world, really. So yeah.
And I know you've you're into bringing lots of groups together, because I know you do, which I only found out when we met, standing in the park groups. Yeah. You've got those still happening. Is that every Sunday without fail, or is it once a month now?
Yeah, every Sunday I'm out there. Well, barring when the river breaks its banks and I can't stand there because it's all flooded. Yeah, I'm there, and every Sunday.
Right. So whereabouts is that? Is that by the bridge?
Yeah, in Blandford Forum
Park.
Yeah, Marsham Park, by the Blue Bridge. Yeah, right. End of Morrison's car park. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful park there. I've been there a couple of times. Yeah, so I'll have to come along one Sunday. So I know you do star teaching events, which brings me on to say that next Saturday you are going to be in Glastonbury with, you're doing a heart gathering connection with, where is it, in the assembly rooms, did you say?
It's in I think it's in the town hall.
Oh, in the town hall, yeah. So we've got Alexander Quinn, Adrian Lee, Nikki Light, and yourself. Is it just the four of you, or am I missing?
I think there's another chap as well who's coming. Right. I don't want to say the name in case I get it wrong.
No. Yeah. So, and I know you're going to be doing on the tour Saturday evening to connect with the Star Family. So there'll be a gathering going up for those that want to join in or want to be involved or just to be part of it. So so that's the main thing. So obviously you're going to be talking about similar to what we've spoken about today, about the messages that they want to bring through.
The heart gathering is going to be lovely because it's explaining about heart-mind coherence. It's about tuning into your heart, which is like a projector. It projects our body. It projects the physicality of us. So if you can kind of get people out of that head energy, which is that critical programming, left brain lobe, sort of analytical mind, and get them to go into their heart space and think from the heart. I know that sounds a bit sort of opposite, but actually our hearts have neuronal and light cells in them, and our guts have the same, so that our gut and our heart are a form of brain as well as our actual brain organ. So when you have all those aligned, you open up your third eye, you get second sight, You also can feel things on a resonance level as well. So if someone's talking to you and they're kind of BSing you, basically, you can detect those undertones, those wolf notes, if you like, because you've been tuned into your heart, and it kind of intrinsically knows that something's off. So it helps people bring up their discernment as well, and they become more intuitive as well. And that's just helping people get into their heart space and getting them into self-love, because most of the programs that are out there are designed to take us out. You know, if you can get depressed and self-loathing, and you hate yourself, you'll look at the world and you'll project that on other people, which is what's happening. You know, you'll project, oh, there's a flaw in that person, they're wrong, you know, in that binary mindset again. But if you can kind of get people out of that black and white into the central space, into that neutral zone, and then get them into the heart space, then they become a lot more harmonic internally in terms of frequency, and they're not so discordant, pulled left or right.
Yeah, because with the great divide that we've had, you know, there's been good and bad of those points, but it's got people have been angry and blaming each other and all sorts of things. And like now, like so many of us has been in the headspace, and it really is coming back thinking, well, each soul is on a journey, and we have to honor, even though you may think, well, that's not right to your way of thinking, they're doing what's right for them. So it's like us all coming back to accepting everybody's on a different journey, doing what's right for them and their soul's journey at that time.
Absolutely. You know, if we can help people find their true calling and their natural passions, and you know, get work and money from that, and a better lifestyle and better health, then we're doing the right thing. Because it's, you know, the opposite to what's going on at the moment. So and that's actually quite important. I think of this example as a magnet. Basically, a magnet has two poles. It's got a positive and it's got a negative, but they're both part of the same object. They're both part of the same magnet. And if you think of us as the same, we've got a positive aspect to us and a negative aspect to us, but we choose, you know, whatever sort of levels or variations of that, and that fluctuates during the day all the time. But getting people to see things from both sides, you're then the observer in the middle, and you're no longer sort of being pulled or controlled by either side, but you're also aware of both sides at the same time. So helping people come into that central neutral space where they don't entangle in either positive or negative, but they can, if they wish to, observe both at the same time, is really important. And that's helping people to become present and become aware of themselves in real time, and come out of duality, that kind of easily programmable, predictable mindset. So that's helping people harmonize internally within as the individual. And then if we do that on a collective level, then all that nefarious stuff can't be sustained, because there are not going to be any hypnotized people who are creating more conflict, unaware of themselves creating conflict in the world. It's making people become self-aware.
Yeah.
Then they're no longer a dead soul at sea. They're a conscious being. They're awake. They're alive. There's blood flowing through their veins and breath in their lungs. And most people are under the corporate assumption, the government assumption, that they're this kind of limited being, this black and white projector that's binary, you know, and actually that's the programming. And the programming is to take you out, you know. If this world is tough and it's very, you know, hard to survive at the moment. So a lot of people get depressed. A lot of people have self-loathing, and then they project that onto others. So if we can get people to look at themselves with love, with supportive, you know, community, we can help their mindset shift and their reality expand. They become more self-loving, not in an egotistical way, but just in a kind of knowing your context in the world. You're not a mass murderer, you're not a serial killer, you're just trying to get by and make friends and have a nice life. So if we can get people out of that binary programmed mindset that we're all conditioned with at birth into the kind of oneness, into seeing both sides but from the middle central observer neutral space, then that's bringing people into the present with time as well, not into that no time future and past. And then they can start shaping their actual reality for better things, for better relationships, for, you know, more things that are aligned with them, because we're constantly fluctuating and learning and stuff. So, you know, having a fluid belief system rather than a fixed belief system is really good, because then you can upgrade your beliefs and expand your awareness and knowledge, which is bringing light into the vessel, which is enlightenment. Enlightenment is basically when you reverse your magnetic field so that you're bringing light or ethers into you, into your vessel, into your consciousness. It's like a never filling cup, and that's enlightenment, or it being illuminated from you know, reversing your field, becoming present, becoming self-aware, becoming self-loving. Because most people are blocking themselves, their electromagnetic field, toroidal field around their vessel is going that way, which is pushing ethers away from them, which is pushing light away from them. They think they know it, and you can't teach someone something new if they think they already know it, sort of thing. So it's good, because some of this consciousness technology is calling out the ones that are pretending, and calling out the ones who have fooled themselves, and calling out these kind of various mind programming techniques. And so once they're described, you can be aware that you may be under them as well. So yeah.
I know one other thing I read in your bio about an ET database.
Yeah.
So is it like different ETs from different planets have put their information down on this database? So can we have a look at this? Or
it's on the website, starteachings.com, starteachingsprotocol.com. And it's literally, it's in the halls of star knowledge, and we're up to, I think, about 100 or so ETs, and these are from ET star family themselves, but these are also from CIA, KGB, and other data points as well. So I'm trying to be the most accurate database that there is at the moment.
No, you're not trying, you are.
What's that?
You're not trying, you are. No trying.
Well, yeah, when new species comes along, I'm quick to pop it on the database.
Fabulous. And I know you're all about the 5D portal of joy.
Yeah, that's the kind of, I turn up at a festival with a great big hoop and lights all around it, and then I've got like a kind of silver screen curtain that people walk through, like, you know, stars in their eyes kind of thing, without the dry ice smoke. And it's kind of like an experiential thing where people walk through that portal, and it's playing music, and we're going, hey, well, when they come through the other side, we're going, hey, well done, you've come through to the 5D, the new holistic society. And
I love it.
And it's kind of, you know, a fun kind of thing. And they've even got a universal passport I stamp, saying, you know, on your way through the portal. So it's a bit of a laugh. What's that?
Are you going to bring it in Glastonbury?
I don't think I've got it. No, I can't set it up for Glastonbury, I don't think. But I will be, you know, bringing it out.
Oh, fabulous. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share? Any wisdom, any messages before we finish up today?
Basically, if you can tune into your heart, if you can know that you're fooled, if you can admit that you've been lied to, that's a start, because then you're not blaming others, you're looking at yourself. If you can do that in a nice, gentle, kind way, and as neutral as possible, you know, you can see what programs that false beliefs that you're under, and then remove those and clear those and forgive those and release those to the universe. And then that will allow more stuff in. And just really, you know, be conscious of who you are as a living, breathing, divine being, roaming this spinning ball, you know, that's around a hot, fiery sun. And really become conscious of who you are and what you're projecting out there in the world. You know, are you projecting your flaws onto others and creating conflict? Are you aware of yourself? The more that we can get people aware of themselves, then they become living beings, divine sovereign beings. Because at the moment, you know, 80% of the population are dead zombies, really. They're dead souls walking around thinking that they're alive and thinking that they know themselves, but they're these limited programmed algorithms. And so the more we can get people to realize themselves, because it's not for me to tell people what to do, it's just I'm here with Star Family providing information, and if that resonates with you, great, but I'm not here to convince you of anything. You know, I'm here just explaining about my life experiences in reality, actual physical reality. And if people resonate with that, then great, but if not, that's fine too, because we're all on our own path. And it's really just helping people come into unity consciousness, what unites us more than divides us. Totally. And just, you know, just choose from the heart, let the heart steer you through life, and then you should be better off. And also, do look at the connection protocol, 5 steps to connect with your star family. All you need is a starry sky wherever you are, and those instructions can help you connect with your own particular star family.
Yeah, and they're all on your website. So there's
sure.
I can see Carol's put up something when someone starts asking questions, they become as king, and that changes the dynamics of every interaction.
Well said.
And she's got, when I got sent here, I misheard the destination. I thought they said you're going to planet Earth. I think we all thought that.
Well, actually, that's quite a good one, because if you analyze Earth and you rearrange it, it's heart. So actually, Earth is our big heart. So and
there's something else I can't read the next bit, Jeffrey. All right, he says, how can you tune into the heart when you're already the heart? When you're already the heart. So,
well, it's just being aware. Yeah, just being conscious that you've got a heart and that it's the strongest force in the universe. It's what creates all life. You've got that power in you, and you've also got thought, which is the fastest thing in the universe. It's faster than light. So you're this amazing super being with not just 2 superpowers like your heart and thought. You've got loads more to find and discover as well. So tuning into the heart, you find all sorts of wonderful things.
And the breath, you know,
and the breath,
hand on heart and focus on your breath is the great one to bring you back in. You know, like you say to people, when you're stressed and something knocks you for 6 and you're all over the place, if you come back here and start counting your breath, it brings you back in and calms you down again, doesn't it?
That's absolutely. That's actually reminded me. Meditation. If people can meditate, what they're doing is if you can turn off all external stimulus, so sit in a dark room with no sound, you're turning your consciousness inward. You're focusing in, and then all these thoughts come up, like weather, for you to analyze. You know, the quality of your thoughts, and you don't have to entangle in all of them. You can let some go by, you know, those stormy ones go by, and choose to kind of like entertain the sunny thoughts better. So meditating and turning your consciousness inwards makes you look at the quality of your consciousness, and you get to observe it, and then you can see whether you're stuck on particular themes, whether you've got a particular looping kind of narrative going on. So it's helping to break those cycles as well, those consciousness programs, if you like. And you can't do that in your awake state, because the external is that constant distraction. So yeah, helping people to go to meditate, you know, it's just like muscle memory. The more you do it, the better you get at it. And actually that can bring a lot more information to you from star family, from your higher self, from source. And then, you know, you become a lot more inner peace, that harmonic frequency within. So yeah, meditation and breath work is really important. Yeah, well said.
Well, thank you. It's so much knowledge and wisdom. It's just been incredible. So I've enjoyed every moment, and I look forward to seeing you next week in Glastonbury. And thank you once again, Matt. And is there anything you want to say, Jeffrey, before we finish?
Yeah, we've got 1.5 minutes left on this laptop.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Andrena.
And same time, same place next week. All right. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you, Matt. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Pleasure.